Hello everyone, happy Monday morning, and welcome to Authenticity with Jera. So today we have a topic that has been coming up a lot around me, internally throughout my journey, but a lot with the people that I love and know. And I think it comes up a lot around the holidays, maybe because we're tapping into our families of origin and tapping into what that means for all of us. So today we're going to be talking about the importance of honest communication as it pertains to authenticity. Honest communication has been something that's been, at least in my journey, incredibly difficult to cultivate. I'm at a point now where I feel very integrous with my communication. Obviously, I teach it, and so I feel pretty confident in it. But for a really long time, I was such a people pleaser and wanted this persona that other people were seeing from me to be something that was seemed pleasant to other people, that it was pleasing to others, and that I didn't make too many waves. And that really undermined a lot of not only my self-love, but my ability to connect with people, because I couldn't have honest relationships without that honest communication. So it was way back in probably over 6 years ago now, that I was in the hospital for mental health issues. And one of the things, there was a couple of different modalities that I got there that really helped me. Hi, Rebecca. That really helped me with that, and that was dialectical behavioral therapy techniques and nonviolent communication. And for anybody in the Eugene area who's interested, we're going to have our very first NVC practice group Wednesday, December 4th at 6 p.m. at the East Blair Housing Co-op. So that'll be our chance to get together and talk in person about healthy communication and how to use NVC effectively in sort of a layman's everyday way, because that can be kind of hard. But those are the tools I got when I was going through that process of being hospitalized and getting well from my diagnoses and my mental health issues. And NVC was one of the most fabulous tools I had, because growing up, I grew up in an incredibly toxic environment that didn't support at all honest communication. My voice was very squelched, and everyone around me seemed to be in some sort of variation of toxicity or lie or something that definitely wasn't honest and healthy communication. And so I didn't really have a framework for how to communicate with other people. And MVC really helped me know that there was a healthy way, at least one healthy way of communicating with others. And it really has saved me. It really has grounded me and helped me find a very solid place inside me. And that's why I wanted to come on today and talk about honest communication, is because I think this isn't a struggle that's limited to people who grow up in toxic environments, and it isn't limited to people who've experienced trauma or mental health issues. Honest communication, honest and healthy communication, is something I think we all struggle with. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that, which we can go into at a different time. But I wanted to talk today a little bit about why harnessing and cultivating honest communication is really important for our development as the self-love, and the authenticity. I want to first go in and say why maybe perhaps we engage in anything besides honest communication. And I think that's because for the similar reasons as to why I did, we have this idea that society is telling us to be nice, right? That the highest form of living is to be nice to our fellow humans. And I kind of hate this idea, a lot. The word nice is it's a little bit of a trigger word for me, because I think it's a lie. I think that niceness is the face that we put on to have a perception that we are truly wanting to connect and be healthy with other people. And I honestly think it's not. It's that perceptive piece. What I would like to say instead of nice is kind. I think kindness is incredibly crucial. And I think this connects to honest communication, because when we are busy being nice to other people, we're thinking about how they're perceiving us, and that's sort of the focus of our communication, right? When we think about being kind, then that brings in a whole slew of other dynamics besides how is the other person perceiving me or how am I making them feel. Being kind gives us a wider perceptive field of, okay, if I'm being kind to this person, if I'm really looking out for not only my health, but their health as well, then what is the solution to the issue that I'm experiencing, whatever that is, or what is the solution to the way that I want to communicate with this person? And I think when we, excuse me, must have some coffee. I think when we drill down into the idea of kindness, what we come back to is that when we're kind in our communication, it doesn't always feel fantastic. It doesn't mean we have to be discompassionate or brusque or heavy with our communication. We don't have to be abrasive with it in order to be kind and honest. But when we're thinking about being kind to somebody, we're thinking about, okay, how does this way that I'm communicating, what does that mean over the long term for this relationship I have with this person? And I have some friends that are going through, multiple actually friends who are going through some big shifts. Surprise, surprise, with Mercury having been in retrograde and big stuff happening astrologically. But what I've been noticing is that some of my friends tend to subsidize their own sense of well-being in order to make things more comfortable for other people. And that's what I'm talking about with that niceness, right? It's like, that's the nice thing to do. We just put ourselves on hold or put ourselves aside in order to be something for somebody else. And I hate that, because what that does really is it says, I am lying to you about where I'm at. I have my own internal map. It's updating all the time, and I'm not actually communicating with you what my map really looks like in live time. I am shielding you from part of what's real for me in order to make you more comfortable or help you to feel more comfortable. And that's really undermining the relationship, because you're essentially not telling them the truth. And yes, in that moment of having discomfort with someone else or needing to communicate something maybe slightly difficult or that may bring stuff up for someone else, communicating that in a straightforward manner may create tension right up front. It may create, there may be reactivity that comes up around it. But what I would say is that reactivity or that tension or whatever it is that's coming up when you're communicating honestly is always going to be there. By being nice and not being honest, by carving out pieces of ourselves in order to make someone else comfortable, what we're really doing is putting off the truth. It's not like we're dodging it. It's not like we're really doing anything productive. What we're doing is like we're pushing that truth off and we're bearing it under layers of toxicity and unhealth. And in order to make the other person feel better or try to help them feel better, but also to help ourselves feel better, that we're not creating waves, that we're being nice. So we're basically like building the scaffolding around us and around our relationships, that one little on it, everything crumbles, and then the truth is going to come out anyway. And I'm sure that most of us have seen this in our relationships, and especially in our romantic relationships. You know, keeping quiet about something in order to make the relationship keep going, or to try to make sure it has a long life. Well, I would argue that having a short life of the relationship, but having it be really honest, is actually much more productive, effective, and helpful for people. When we extend that life by subsidizing ourselves, we're creating resentment, we're creating toxicity, we're creating so many ugly things inside of us and in our relationships. And yes, communicating with people straightforward, in a compassionate but very firm way about what's happening with us, what we need, the way we're seeing things, is really difficult. It's really, really hard, especially when we have a really good idea that the other person isn't going to be as receptive to what we're saying as we'd like them to be. that they may have a reaction or they may not agree with us. And that's really difficult to look in the face and say, you know what, I'm just telling you the honest truth anyway. And it means that we have to be really resilient and strong in ourselves. But I, thank you so much, Rebecca. Rebecca says, most agreed. And actually, Rebecca, you are so good at this. In so many ways, I've seen you actively do this, of really communicate your honest truth and knowing that that is the thing that has to be present in order for everybody to be in their highest self. Hey, Dingo. So thank you for that comment. I really love the conversation that happens here when we can talk to each other. So in summation, I feel like honest communication in as real time as we can with as much compassion, balanced compassion as possible is really the best way to invest in ourselves. It creates like this pillar of strength where we're coming up against that discomfort of, oh, the other person may not react very well to this, and so having that resilience. Hey, Kira. And also it helps strengthen our relationships because we're not separate. It's not like there's you and there's me and there's that person and we're all connected. And so when we take care of ourselves, when we invest in our relationships, we're really strengthening the network of the human body that we're all a part of. And that can do nothing but be healthy. I would like to, at the end of this talk, we're getting into the end, I would really like to give a tool. So I know it's super, super scary to come up against somebody in our lives, that communication with someone in our lives that feels really hard to say that we're going to see a reaction to. And I would like to give a tool for that. And it's this principle that I learned through my mental health journey, and it's called ACT. It's an acronym. So it's ACT, ACT. And I want to bring people's awareness to it because I think sometimes, especially when we deal with family, yay for Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up and all the holidays where we spend time with bio families, especially when we come up against family or somebody else that means a lot to us, we feel like we don't have a choice. We can't speak our truth because if we do, something bad will happen. And I'd like to challenge that idea with this tool of ACT. And the way it goes is you can either accept it, whatever it is, the relationship, the status of communication, the place that you are with that person. You can either accept it, you can change it, or you can turn away or pivot away from it. So accept, change, or turn away. And those are choices that we have all the time. And when we don't honestly communicate and we don't deal with what comes of that honest communication, what we end up doing is we're accepting. We're doing the A part of that. And that is a choice. It's an ongoing choice. But we could try to change the relationship. Maybe there's something about that relationship. We can bring NVC to it. We can bring our honesty to it. We can invest more time and we can invest less time and create more space so we can change it. Or, we come at it, we've tried accepting it, we've tried changing it, it's not working. It's not working for us. It doesn't support our, internal health and authenticity. So we turn away. And I know this is really difficult to accept that we may have people in our lives that we love, but that health can't be there. And so turning away feels really hard. But sometimes it's the very best thing that we can do for ourselves. And oftentimes if the situation is so toxic that we can't move through it in a healthy way, that is the best thing that we can do, is just remove that piece from our lives so that we can keep rising. Because we don't know in what ways, when we rise into our greatest authenticity, the ripples of that will touch the people that we were trying to directly impact with our less than honest communication. So I know there was a lot in there. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. If you're watching this live, thank you so much for showing up. Hey, Richard. Thank you so much for showing up. I really hope that we can all cultivate more honest communication in our lives, because the more we can be brave, the more we can rise up into our strength to deal with the reactivity or the response that we think we might get from our honest communication, the more we can kind of clear the field for ourselves and pull in the support that really supports who we are. When we put off that honest communication, honestly, it's like taking out a loan is what it is. You're paying interest. You're paying a piece of yourself over time to have the niceness, to have the not rocking the boat. And I would say that that's not worth it. That, you know, really working hard, building up that internal abundance, that internal bank where you can hold your own energy and put it really where it's effective is the healthiest way to live and to communicate with other people. So thank you so much for being here. Remember, you can use act, accept, change, or turn away in every situation, in every relationship in your life. And that's a choice. And as soon as we accept that responsibility, we can, hi Richard, sorry you missed it. As soon as we accept that responsibility, our own honesty and our own health gets so much better. So again, if you're in the Eugene area, December 4th at East Blair Housing Co-op, we're doing an NVC discussion group. It'll be a $5 donation, and it'll be an ongoing Wednesday night thing. We'll do December 4th NVC, and then the next week, I think it's December 11th, we'll be doing a poly discussion group, and we'll be alternating between the two of those at East Blair for the foreseeable future. Thank you so much for joining me, and until next time, stay authentic, everybody. Bye.